Welcome back to Security Happy Hour, only here on Cyber Warrior Studios. I am, as always, your host, the Cyber Warrior. And we got a big show planned. We got a very important, very special guest with us this evening, and he'll be joining us in due time. Hold your britches. It'll be okay. But otherwise, look, I want y'all to remember, please like, comment, subscribe, all those fun things, and all super chats, always a donation that you can find on cyberwarriorstudios.com and everything else currently are going towards the youth football organization that my son plays for. So if you want to do any of that, please, I would love the support so that I can support them. I'm not taking the money. I am legitimately donating it all. So any support you can give would be fantastic. Otherwise, stick with me for about 10 seconds, and I promise we will be right back. And hey, we're back. What do you know? Like I said, it's about 10 seconds. Anyways, tonight my guest is Pat. InfoSec Pat, for those who have seen his YouTube channel, his Instagram, his Twitter handle, well, X or whatever you want to call it, his LinkedIn, all that stuff. InfoSec Pat is here with us this evening, and we're going to be talking all things education for breaking into cyber. Pat, how you doing, brother?
Good, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me tonight. And I have to say, it was an awesome chat last week with Ryan. He's an actual good friend of mine. I don't know if he's tuning in today, but and I'll be seeing him in a few weeks at, B-Side in Orlando. That kid is on a different level.
Dude, are you going to St. Pete?
No, I'm not going to St. Pete, though. I'll be in Orlando, though.
All right. Well, hold up real quick. Where is it? There it is. All right. The official kickoff, Security Happy Hour. No, he is. I've been seeing his videos for a while. He's been following me for a while. So we've been talking back and forth on Instagram, and he was like, "Hey, can I come on? Like, are you taking guests and this at the third?" And so me and him had a long conversation. I got his sign off from his parents and stuff like that to come on the show to make sure everything was good to go. And it was an amazing conversation. I love having him here because at 16 years old, this kid is already doing more than most people in the industry.
Yeah.
Like legitimately doing more than probably 80% of the industry.
No, he is. He's doing a lot more than me, that's for sure. Ryan.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe back in my heyday, me and him would have been on like a semi-same level. These days, I'm like, dude, I can't even keep up. I just can't even keep up.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. There's so many kids killing it, maybe they're not kids, but the kids can probably, I don't know how old you are.
Dude, I'm 36 years old. Half of these kids are kids to me. Like, they're like literally my kids' age. So, yeah, they're kids.
I'm 38. So,
I got another one that wants to come on at 17 years old. So, I was like, well, I'll get you to form over. Actually, I think I'm supposed to send that today. I have to send it tomorrow. But got a 17-year-old that wants to come on that has been following Ryan and, all this stuff and is doing big things within the industry. So, it's crazy how these kids are coming about. And the funniest part about it is, what do they not have that everybody says you need?
What, certifications?
Oh, yeah, that. Or, a degree or experience. You've got Ryan who's written books, who's actually done a lot of shit in the industry. Yet all of a sudden, like, I guarantee you at 18 years old, if he went out and applied for a job, and maybe he hadn't done an internship or whatever it is he had been doing, they've been like, oh, no. My man got books written after, like, he has authored and has been published. And you're going to tell this kid at 18, no, get bent. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's be real.
Yeah, man. But, yeah, there's so many good, talented kids these days, or youngins coming up in the game that it's crazy. But yeah.
What do you think right now? So when we were growing up, right, we had dial-up internet, you had news groups, IRC chat, things like that. These days, with all of social media, with everything else that's out there, you don't have the same, unless you're on the dark net, I would say. You don't necessarily have that same kind of ethics and camaraderie within cybersecurity or within the hacking space or things like that. So what do you think is driving these kids right now to find that passion?
That's a good question. I think it's hard for me to answer that, right? Because when I was 16 years old, I didn't even have a computer, right? That's the God honest truth. I got my first machine computer like at 18, I think, right when I graduated high school, because I needed it for college. And so I think probably just like the buzzword of hacking and cybersecurity and
Mhm.
maybe money. But I think
Potentially.
that's a thing to stay away from, because if you drive something just for money, you're going to get burnt out, and there's not going to be that purpose of waking up, like asking yourself your why.
Right.
So because I remember like the big thing was DBAs, right? Database administrators. If you were a DBA, you were getting buku bucks. You don't want to be, if you're a sysadmin, you're making 70K. If you're a
Right.
DBA, you're fucking making 110K. And this
Right.
was 15, 20 years ago, like when the MCSEs and
Dude, my teacher in college, my instructor was a DBA before she quit to become an instructor, because she was like, I prefer to teach than do this. Like, she loved it, but she would rather help people than work within an organization and maintain databases. The money wasn't worth it for her.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So yeah, like yeah, I don't
I
know
think
what.
it's crazy. And again, the reason why I say what they don't have is because I'm one of the few. At 16 years old, I had one, two, three, maybe four Microsoft certifications. Because at the time, going through my business academy course, it was free. That the school or the district or whatever paid for us to go get Office certified
Mm-hmm,
for our business course. And so by the time I hit my senior year or junior year, I forget what it was, I was already Office 2000 master certified. I was the only one in the school district, except for maybe my teacher, maybe. And I don't even think he went and got email. I think I legitimately was one of like two people that had the master certification in Office 2000 within my school district. And so, like, for me, it was a big thing. And that's why certifications became big to me, and why I chased things like the CCNA and CCNA security and OSCP and things like that. I chased it. Not for money, not because I thought it was going to give me something. It was for my own self-worth, my own
mm-hmm.
self-value. I wanted it to know I could do it. But these days, because of job requirements, I think too many people are willing to do like test dumps or boot camps. Like, you're talking your 1 week boot camps. I'm only going to teach you the test and that's it type of courses,
Mm-hmm.
because it'll get their foot in the door to get an interview at a job, not because they'll actually understand the material they're being taught.
Yeah, and I like that you say that, because I'm not going to lie. I've taken a lot of Microsoft certs. I did my MCSE when I was 19. Um, and when I did my A plus, that was probably one of my hardest exams until today. Just like we was talking off air, like hardware, computer stuff was never my niche.
Right.
Like the whole, North Bridge, South Bridge, DIM, SIM, RIM. Like I didn't care about that. Like, just give me a computer and let it power on and let me log in. So I never cared
Does the
about.
power button work? Yes. Okay, we're good.
Exactly, exactly. So and like when I did my CCNA, CCNP, even because I have my CCIE as well. I don't really talk
Wait,
about
you
that.
did?
Yeah, I took my CCIE in 2015. I don't even know where that little blue
That
flag.
is, I
Yeah.
had dreams of that Cisco cert for the
Mhm.
longest time. Then I was like, I don't like networking that much. No, I'm not doing
Yeah, I do have it in
it.
round and switch. Now it's the enterprise, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like when I was doing that, like I did use dumps. I'm going to go back to the dumps. Like I think there's pros and cons to the dumps, right? And I used a dump from my PCNSE, which is Palo Alto Certified
Yep.
System Engineer. So I knew how to configure Palos. I knew static route. I knew all the networking stuff, but I'm like, I just need to knock this thing out. So just give me a dump. I
Yeah.
just need to know the answers. Study
I
them for
did
a week.
that. I did that for my Security Plus
Yeah.
back when it was Lifetime, and it was solely because, look, I know the terminology. I know all the everything that goes along with security. My problem came into the way they ask questions, and
Mm-hmm.
the way they would like put answers in there. Like, that is the probably one of the only tests. There may have been one other in my history that I may have done that for that I'm no longer utilizing. But again, it was one of those things like you had the foundations for Palo, for networking, for
Mm-hmm.
everything. It's like, but the questions are fucked.
Yeah.
You know what? Give me a dump. Let me know how to answer the questions, and we're just going to go at it.
Yeah. So, but I wouldn't condone like, okay, you want to get your CCNA. Now they changed it. There's one exam. It's not the CCENT and ICND1 and ICND2 anymore. So now it's like, okay, like I want to go do a dump on whatever. I don't even know what dumps. I used Test Out back in the day.
I don't even remember what I used at the time.
I don't even know what they're using today, but don't do that. Then when you get on a interview and they ask you, okay, what is the difference between a layer 2 and a layer 3 switch? What is a cam table? What is a cam? I'm not going to go into attacks like VLAN hopping, cam table overflows and stuff like that. But like going into like routing protocols, EIGRP, I almost said OSCP, OSPF,
right.
Like all these kind of routing protocols, and you don't know how to configure, even if you go into config T, like how can you show if there's, how do I see what configuration is running on my iOS, device? If you don't understand show running config, what if I want to pipe something? I want to include something in my config file or whatever, just like at the CCNA level, and you dump it, whatever, you crash course or crash dump, whatever they call it, and you go and pass the CCNA, but then you go into an interview, they stick you in an IDF or an MDF, which is, where your routers and switches are in your rack, and you don't even know what's the uplink or what is, and I've seen people do that, like dump even up to the CCNP level, and you stick them in an IDF, and they're lost, right?
Yeah. I could not. So I could do the CCNA again. Easy.
Mm-hmm.
I could sit there and work through Cisco routing and program a router and a switch and things like that. It would take me some time. It would take a refresher. But again, I knew the material and I had studied the books. I had studied everything. So for me, it was easy. Mm-hmm. But even the Security Plus, by the time I took that test, they asked some of the most messed up questions at the time when I took it in like 08. That I was just like, dude, when I looked at a test dump, I was like, these are the dumbest questions in the world. And I'm looking at the answers and I'm like, I would have so got this wrong. Not because I didn't know what they were talking about, but because the answers were so close together and it was like one word switched within the paragraph that I was like, this is the dumbest shit in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like you switch one word and the entire answer changes. And I'm like, I would have missed this completely.
Yeah.
Because I would have like picked out keywords and been like, oh yeah, it's this. Oh, no, you forgot the S that's at the end of this. So it's actually this answer. And you're like, mother.
Yeah, exactly. So like this can probably there's good at transition, right? And so why we're here today.
Yep.
Like setting up how to get into cyber, and we can even transition how to get into IT and how to get like your lab set up and into cyber, whatever you want to do. So this is your show. You asked the question.
Dude, honestly, I'm at the point, I think if we with certifications, that is right now the big ticket item for getting into anything in technology. Mm-hmm. Anything. Mm-hmm. And so I think we start there and really talk about, and again, you're in the same position I am in terms of being able to hire people once you have job openings and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So are degrees certifications important, or is it more based on network and learning in public?
See, the thing, obviously, in our old age, it's different, right? Back when we got into the field, obviously, it was not who you knew. It was about what you knew. Now, I think things have shifted a little bit, right? I believe with, LinkedIn and GitHub and even setting up your own labs and doing little videos and YouTube, etc., it has made it easier for you to actually learn. And I think getting into the field of technology or cybersecurity has been a lot easier just because you can set up a home lab. You have TryHack, you have Hack the Box, you have VulnHub, you have all these different platforms to actually learn on, and it's all free. Yeah, you can contribute, you can pay for a subscription and get more boxes or more rooms or whatever.
Right.
But if you're broke as a joke, it's free to get VirtualBox. Kali Linux is free. And VulnHub machines. And not only that you're hacking something, right? You're learning how to configure your network. You're configuring NAT, network address translation. You're configuring routing, because in order for that OVA to be downloaded, right, you have to configure, you upload it. Maybe you have a default NAT rule on your whatchamacallit, a VirtualBox. It's 10.0.2.15. That's a default IP in VirtualBox. So now if you add your Kali box, if you do an if config ETH0, you're going to see 10.0.2.15. If it's not, you can give me, I'll give you $1,000. But, and then on the flip side, if you add another VM and you have it attached to that same NAT network, you're going to have an IP conflict. That's why I did make a video on my channel about configuring the NAT stuff. So I think having those those multiple different platforms, you're going to get multiple skills at the same time. So, and with that, having your like Network Plus certification, or like you said, CCNA, like understanding some basic networking before you even get into cyber, right? Because having those fundamentals will definitely be so much more beneficial to you. Because if I didn't know what I knew before I got into cyber, I would be so lost, right? Yeah, you can wing it, you can learn it, but like the deep knowledge, the increase, like the tedious things like an Active Directory, ADSI edit, group policy, GPPs back in 2008 server, when you're talking about group policy preferences, when you're attacking that, embedded credentials inside of an application, maybe your default SA account in SQL or whatever, just like these basic sysadmin kind of tasks, it brings that much better as an attacker or as an adversary or a pen tester, whatever you want to be, even on the blue team side, right? Understanding how an adversary will attack something, this is how you can harden it. So,
yeah, and so the way I look at it is like this, right? So if you have the ability to set these labs, what people forget, everybody thinks when they think of things like blue team tools, they immediately go to, your SIMs, which is great, right? You think of Logarithm, McAfee, QRadar, ArcSight, Sentinel, you name it, it's out there. They forget about, and again, I don't know how they forget about it. It's the most popular video on my channel, Security Onion, which gives you everything. It gives you your kind of EDR focus with Wazoo. It gives you your SIM experience. It gives you your SOAR. It gives you your ticketing system. It gives you all this stuff. So then you can see everything. So now when you're setting these things up and you're setting up your networks, that hands-on experience, that lab experience, put that as actual experience on your resume. If you sit there and you tell me you have set up labs and you've configured Security Onion and Kali or ParrotSec or Arc or BlackArch or whatever, and you've done VulnHub and Hack the Box or Try Hack Me or any of these things, I'm going to question you on it. I want to know that you know these things. And I'm going to try to figure out, okay, well, when you did X, Y, and Z in this box, what did you see in Security Onion? What did Wazoo pick up as an EDR alert? What did whatever? And I'm going to ask you questions about that because you are stating you have done it, which means you should know it. That is my only kicker to anything you put on your resume. If you put it on your resume, you better know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, saying that, certifications, because they get your foot in the door, and I have done this. So don't be afraid to do this. When you get your certification, you put it on your resume, you know the material, but maybe a year goes by, you haven't really touched anything in regards to that certification, then let them know. Hey, look, I have it on there. I could go refresh on it because, it was easy for me to pass certification. I just haven't had to touch it. For instance, I got my reverse engineering malware certification. I can go through, pick up every SANS book, go through, figure out exactly what I had to do, and reverse engineer anything I needed to. Do I want to do that? No. So if I'm going to go look for a job, I'm probably not going to go look for a job that requires that certification, but it'll get my foot in the door somewhere because I got that certification. Just don't apply for jobs you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Even if you have the certification, that cert gets you through the door. But if the job doesn't need that, they're not necessarily going to ask you questions about that.
Yeah, and that's a good that's a good statement because, for example, let's back up in my career, right? When I did my Cisco stuff, CCNP, CCDP, etc. Like I did CCNP security, right? But we worked on ASA firewalls, the adaptive security appliance. So that was, I think I took them off the wall because now it's all my security stuff.
Dude,
But
I took all my certs off the wall.
yeah, so like my CCNP, I think I did in 2012 or 2013. So now everything is at firepower threat defense, right? And FTD and all this stuff. So it's a little different. And now, like with routing and switching, now you have Nexus switches and this whole other
Smart switches,
yeah,
so many other things.
different beast than like the Catalyst 2900s or whatever. So it's a totally different ball game if you're getting into the world of networking today. Just
Right.
like Juniper, everything is in JSON. Their config is in JSON.
Even their logging is different. When you look at everything from Palo to Cisco, configuring a Cisco firewall for logging as compared to a Palo Alto firewall, as compared to a Fortinet, as compared to a Juniper switch or something like that. It's all different, and it's all different types of logs and different parsing methods and different information. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, totally. So I'll try to stay on topic because I have ADD. So like, yeah, I'll start
Join the
talking
club.
about.
I will ramble on for ages about whatever topic comes up.
Yeah. So like for tonight's episode, we'll talk about cybersecurity labs. So I think having some kind of a decent laptop, 16, 32 gigs of RAM, preferably, but then you can install like VirtualBox. I'll try to keep everything free 99.
Yeah.
So we don't have to talk into money, but like you can get, like I said, VirtualBox, set up a Kali box, and start downloading. Go to vulnhub.com. If someone can throw that in the chat, go to vulnhub.com.
Metasploitable.
Yeah, Metasploitable 2, Metasploitable 3 if you want to get into Windows.
OWASP Juicebox is another one.
Yeah.
I think it's Juicebox is what it's
Yeah,
called.
Juicebox.
OWASP has their web app pen testing one.
Juice Shop. Yep, Juice Shop. So same thing. Like if you want to get into, I don't know anything about web app stuff. So
I despise web apps. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. I just know it because I've had it. Like I learned it for the OSCP because there's certain aspects that you need to know.
Yeah.
But no, I hate web apps.
Yeah.
Not my forte.
I can open up Burp Suite. So because I'm more of like I said, like before, I don't know if I said it on here or off air, like I come from a system networking background. I didn't come from a development background, web development. I come, strictly Windows. I remember when I, got into Linux, I was like, oh man, like my first, even before cyber.
But don't you love Linux?
Yeah. Now it's even still, I always learn something new every day,
Necessary evil. I do love Linux though. I do. Yeah. I wish my security distros had, I wish the drivers and the things that are required for my personal hardware to work were more secure so that there were like things out there that it would just work with things like Parasec. But the way stuff is configured to like unpackage and package and all that stuff, it's a pain in the ass, which is the only reason I'm still on Windows.
Yep, exactly. Like, so yeah. And, get security onion, watch the Cyber Warriors, video. It's just like you said, it's his most viewed video. So you can get that. I have a whole thing on like Alien Vault. So it's a SIM tool. And I show you how to set it up, configure it, ingest logs so you can actually look into it. And, you can even go down, Splunk is a beast, but they have a free, I think it's 5 gigs that you can ingest for free.
Oh, do they really? I didn't know that.
I think it's up to 5 gigs, if I'm not mistaken, I think. And then, you can get the Splunk fundamental certification with that if you're, aiming for the blue team stuff. And
AWS and Azure, if you're looking at cloud security and things like that, they have the courses, even if you can't get the certification, because I think at a point they charge for the certification.
Yep.
But even the training, there's a lot of free training out there for those things. And so if you're looking to if you can speak to it, and AWS and Azure both have free credits that you can use as a student, as a veteran, as anybody, to play with their VMs and their cloud infrastructure. Honestly, at this day and age, there's no excuse not to get the education for free.
Exactly.
And go through on labs.
So I see some questions about
that.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of them starred. So I'm going to go to the first one.
Okay,
I
go
wanted
for
to
it.
get through our topic at the time, but so we got Furo Slam. I'm assuming that's a fake name. That's fine. Have you heard about the ISC squared cybersecurity? I can't remember what CC stands for. Certified Cybersecurity or whatever
Yes,
the case.
yes,
Compared
cybersecurity
to the
certified.
Security Plus, now at $500, where would you place the ISC squared CC cert versus the Security Plus?
That I never took the CC certification. I have SSCP and CISSP. You can probably see it in the back. I never took that, so I can't really talk on that. I think I would rather go for Security Plus because you can get some accreditation for the DoD, but that's a whole nother ball game. But like the CC, is a CC free? I don't even know. Is it
That's what
free?
he was saying. It's free for now, which means I think it's in its beta phase.
Yeah. So let's jump on
Hey,
it. If it's
anybody who
free,
wants to take it can take it. They'll see what the passing score is and give it out. Now, I can't say that's for sure. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But if we're going to compare the two, the way I look at things is look at 8570 from the DoD. Those are the certifications that the civilian sector are going to pick up as the certifications they want to utilize for their job postings and things like that. Right now, to Pat's point, Security Plus is all over DoD 8570 and 8140, I believe it is, but I think it's DoDI or whatever it is. So yeah, I would Security Plus just for its notoriety. But if you can send either myself or Pat or somebody the content that's within the CC, I have no problem looking at it and doing an actual comparison and getting back to you. None at all.
Yeah, and you can hit him up. You can hit me up on everything on social media is InfoSec Pat, so it's pretty much across the board. Any other cool questions?
Yep. So we got one here from Carrie. I was told since I don't have the experience to get the A+, which is weird, which I have, and then the Security Plus. If I pass the Sec Plus, I have Linux Mint on my third computer. I won't have the experience. Carrie, you're a little all over with that question. I don't know what your exact question is, but let's just talk experience. And me and you, Carrie, have had this conversation as well as several others. But Pat, if he has certifications, what can he do to provide that listing of experience?
Yeah, so if you have a cert with no real world experience, so you're just trying to get that experience to get that job, I guess that's always a catch-22, right? But going back to what I was saying before, setting up labs, when you set up a lab, you can throw that on your resume, right?
Yep.
You can say, I have my own home lab, make a video, and you don't have to be, if you're camera shy or whatever, just do a voiceover, right? And just say, okay, I'm going to be configuring Linux, installing Linux. I learned how to whatever set up whatever you're doing, whatever field you're trying to get into. If it's cyber, like okay, like this is how I use Nmap, and this is how I'm going to use Enum for Linux and Enum SMB shares or whatever you're going to do, whatever, right? If you have that experience and just throw that on your resume, on your LinkedIn, on your blog, whatever you have out there, I think that'll definitely beat you to the race, right? Beat others to the race. Like, of course, experience doesn't always meet on the job. Like it's like if you fight, right? If you like to fight, just because you never went into the UFC or boxing doesn't mean you can't throw down in the streets, right? You're still an experienced fighter, but you're just not paid to fight, right? But you can still throw down. So that's pretty much how I think about that, right?
Yeah, definitely. And even myself, right? So, and as being a practice manager for where I work, I look at the people that I know, and I know people based on two things. One, have they been on this show or any other podcast or anything like that? And two, do I see you putting this information out on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram, on whatever, to where you're learning in public? If I don't see those things and I don't know you, then to me, you have no experience. So 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get through that initial recruiter or HR person or automated system to bring you in. Whereas if I know you, and again, Pat, we talked about this earlier, a lot of cybersecurity, a lot of IT now is being hired based on who you know. And that is because it is a trust factor. I need to trust that you're going to be able to do your job and that you're going to stick around for at least as long as I'm there. If I choose to leave and then you choose to leave, that's on you, homie. But as long as I'm there, I want to know that you're going to work for me because I trust you. We have a relationship. We have this stuff going on. So when I go to hire people, I look for people that I know, not only know the job, not only know and have the ability to learn the whatever we need to have done, but I know them on a more personal level. I've talked to them on the phone. I've texted them. I've done whatever. And so they have these capabilities. And some people don't like that. But to be honest, we are way past the whole drop resumes at every business you go to get hired. It is now, I need to know you as a person. I need to know that if I call you at 7 p.m. after hours, you're going to pick up the phone. For two reasons. One, because I may have something we just want to BS about because we're friends. Or two, because I need you to do some work and I need you to do it now, not tomorrow. I need it yesterday. And if I can't trust you to do that, if I'm going to get a kickback or an answer of like, oh, well, you see, I maybe did, then no, it's not going to work. But I'm also going to know your schedule. I have kids. I have football practice. I have things I need to be at. So I understand. So this is why the more I want to know what my employees are doing in their personal lives so that I can accommodate for it. And if I can't trust you because you refuse to talk to me and we don't have this, back and forth, then I can't pick up the phone at 8 p.m. and expect you to answer if I don't know what the hell you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
so labs, all this stuff, you want to get hired, put yourself out there, homie. Put it out there. Everything.
Yeah. Don't be shy because you'll be surprised who's watching.
Yep.
Like,
dude, my boss is always watching.
Yeah. Prime example, right? Like, I don't even know if he's in this chat or if he's watching this, and he's a friend of mine. His name is Devin. He goes by Owned on my Discord channel. Like we would hack every night. We would do some fun stuff. I built a relationship with this guy, and I have a friend that's down here where I live at that has a IT company, right? And he just put something willy nilly on the internet saying he was hiring. And remember, this kid Devin, it's new. He's like a year into the field, right? And I just trusted him. This goes back to the trust because I wouldn't recommend someone that the dude's going to be like in and out, you know what I mean? And make me look like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect everyone to stay wherever they're at forever unless, they're killing it and they love it. But like, I trusted him. I built a rapport with him, and I want to put him on blast. He's the number one tech at that company.
Right.
And there's people that have been there for 2, 3, 4 years. And this kid just only been there for like 3 months now. And he's the number one. He closes the most tickets. He kills it. And the only reason why I got him that job is because I trusted him. Yep. Right. And my friend trusted my judgment because I was not going to let my buddy down because I went to high school with this kid. So I know him really well. I'm not going to just meet someone off the internet, throw him his way, and the kid, F's him over, So far, let's knock on wood. He's killing it. So now, it's who you know.
And that's why I put so much stock in this show and what I do, because it allows me to get to know people and know their passion and know where it lies and know that if I want to hire somebody, I can go back and look at the history of the show and be like, all these people put their name out there. They want a job. They're hungry. They want this. And I look at LinkedIn. I look at Twitter. Okay, who's hungry? Who's putting out information? Who wants to be known? Because I'm going to make your ass famous. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to put you on blast. I'm going to hire you. I'm going to talk of everything about you. Like you look at people like Andrea Myler, Winal Watarver, Adriana, Carrie, and all these other people, Jessica Bishop, that have been on the show, that are trying their hardest to make a name for themselves. And if I can get to the point where I have the openings to hire them, those are the people I'm going to hire. I'm not going to hire someone because a recruiter gives them to me, especially if I'm looking for a junior role. Yeah. I'm looking for the people that are like, no, I'm hungry. I want this because I can trust you to learn everything I tell you to do. So if I'm like, I need a Splunk person, bet, send me. I got you. No worries. I got you. They want to learn it. I need a pen tester. What part? You need web app. You need network. What do you need? I got you. Like, that's what I'm looking for. But if you've never done anything, if all you've done is certifications, that's to me is the equivalent. And this is the next subject I want to touch on after we answer the next 4 questions, or maybe before. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But, that is the equivalent of somebody going for a degree, not doing anything, just literally going for a degree and expecting a 6-figure job. If you're going for certifications and not doing labs or learning in public, that is the equivalent of somebody going for a degree and not having anything out there to their name. Why am I going to hire you because of a degree? You've got the foundations, great, but what have you done?
Yeah.
I'm just supposed to know you because you've got a degree in cybersecurity. You realize that teaches you that port 443 is HTTPS. That's about all it does.
I know. I have a master's in cyber, so
I started my master's in cyber and then quit because I was like, "Fuck this shit. This is bull."
Yeah. No, I totally get it. So throw in those questions and see what's up.
All right. So we got 4 left. I got 7 more chats, and I don't know if there's any more questions, but we're gonna go to these 4. I've been in Differ for about 2 years and did cloud before and accounting before that. Holy shit. I've reached that point in my career where I've applied to SANS for a graduate certificate in IR, which is 4 starts for about $20K. Okay, makes sense. I truly feel like I've reached that point where to continue moving up in my career, I have to make the SANS investment. What are your thoughts of mid-level career growth or for upwards potential? I got a lot of takes on SANS, but Pat, I'll let you handle this one first.
Yeah, I've never took a SANS course, so I don't really know too much about them. All I know is like they're super expensive. That's why I never went for my GPEN or any of those things, because it's like $5,000 or $7,000. But man, my thoughts, I guess never quit, man. Don't give up. Just try to knock on the doors, try to like search for those, acronyms, your DFIR or instant response or whatever, IR, and just reach out to folks that work in that, right? Network with folks on the LinkedIn community and showcase, just because like what he was saying, right? Like, just because I have a graduate degree, just because I have an OSCP doesn't mean I know shit, right?
Dude, I know so many people that went through that course that didn't even know how to crack a Windows password.
Yeah. And
dude, that is the bare minimum of security. Know how to crack a Windows password.
Yeah.
And they're like, what files do I need? I'm like, you don't know how to Google?
Exactly. And not even like crack a password. How do you get the hash to even crack?
Yeah.
Right. So these are little things that, okay, like you can't, what is it? Run before you crawl or crawl before you run, whatever the hell that saying is. But like, obviously you have to capture that, like running responder or whatever kind of thing that you want to get that, LTLMV2 hash or whatever kind of hash you're going to get. And then you can take that offline and crack it and so on and so forth. I get these weird questions. Like, I don't know if anyone I just want to put this out there, right? If someone's watched my videos on like Wi-Fi hacking or whatever, remember, it's for demonstration purposes. I'm not going to go ahead and crack my neighbor's Wi-Fi.
Why not? It's fun. Lies and deceit.
Yeah, especially not on camera. But like, I have my lab set up for a reason. This is what the whole purpose of this. I'm bringing this up because of our chat tonight, labbing it up and stuff like that. So if I had, if I'm demonstrating and I put my password, I love New York forever. And so I get these comments like, oh, that password's not in my rocku.txt. Dude, like follow along what I'm saying. I make it very clear. I'm putting this password inside of a password.txt. And I just copied a few from rocku.txt and I put mine right in the middle. So it only takes 5 seconds to crack.
Right.
Right. It's for demonstration purposes. You're not going to probably, this is a whole nother topic. If you're a neighbor or whoever, you have a captive portal, if you're using like a Wi-Fi pineapple, if they have WPS, there's other ways to crack and capture the four-way handshake and all that stuff. But for simplifying it, to understand the concept of when I scan and capture the four-way handshake and crack it and blah, 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 remember, it's all for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to put an easy password. Don't expect to run that same rocku.txt against your neighbor and your neighbor's probably, their phone number. Obviously, use social engineering. Get to know your neighbor. Say, oh, can I have your phone number? So sometimes if I need to, and maybe it's their phone number.
The funnest I ever did was using Reaver and WPS cracking on a military installation near the barracks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I did it. No, I didn't do anything with it. I legitimately just wanted to see how long it would take. And in about 30 seconds, I had about 20 networks just because they were using WPS without any security enforced. Because when it was first implemented, there was no security. It was, oh, we're going to give you a 6-digit PIN, but the first 3 digits are like given. I forget the exact technical details behind it, but legitimately with a strong signal, 30 seconds is all it took to crack password after password after password. And I was just like, oh, homie.
Yeah.
But as far as SANS goes,
and all you need is one of these little things.
Dude, I had an Alpha 500 MW. Actually, I got 2 of those.
Yeah, these are what I have. I have
What's your go-to? Yeah, I got that one. That's what I got.
I have this.
Yeah.
I have this.
I don't have a smaller one. I got the bigger one.
And then I have this.
And I got a Panda because Panda works better with Parrot.
Yeah, exactly. I have a Panda as well. And so, yeah, and you can use Wi-Fi too. Wi-Fi cracks those bad boys.
Dude? So here's the thing. Here's my take on it, right? So I know you've gone through the tools.
Mm-hmm.
You came up like I did, though. So you had to use the entire air crack suite. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Especially for the OSWP.
Right. So I will always advise, understand what the fuck you're using before you use it. Most of Wi-Fi, not Reaver. Reaver uses a different mechanic because it's WPS. But anything cracking WPA, WPA2, or WAP is using the air crack suite. He's using Aeromon, Aerodump, Air crack, and I think there's one more that you can even use in there. But those 3 tools, especially, are what it's using. Well, why is it using it? What does Aeromon do? What does Airdump do? What does Air crack do? So if you're looking at these 3 different things, understand the underlying architecture, the underlying tools, before you go into something like a Wi-Fi and you're just like, oh yeah, go ahead, homie. I'm gonna smack you. Like, how do you crack a wireless network? Oh, I go into Wi-Fi and I just press network 1. What?
And it's funny because
what tools is it using? What is?
Yeah.
And then I get this because when I applied for Cisco Talos, which is their offensive security team that does all their 0 days and a bunch of other stuff, they asked me these questions. Yeah. They legitimately came to me and was like, all right, so wireless is insecure. Why? What is insecure about it? What about the IVs? What about this, and this? I had no answers. I had to learn. So I will tell you the same thing. Don't think you're going to go into a job that does offensive security. You'll be like, oh, yeah, I use Wi-Fi and it just goes. No. They're going to ask you why it works, how it works.
So, yeah, because Wi-Fi, say, for example, now you have a radius server, right? You authenticate to Active Directory. You have to come up with some kind of other technique to crack that kind of Wi-Fi, right? How are you going to authenticate? How are you going to set up a rogue access point or a rogue device? And you can do it multiple ways. You can do it with whatever. That's a whole nother topic. But so going back to, setting up your own lab, like if you have your own little old router, you don't even have to be on the internet. Just broadcast it and just crack it, right? We're not, Dio and myself, we're not condoning going out hacking, your neighbor, going out to Starbucks and start, cracking people's stuff.
I am not going to condone that at all. Never. I would never condone that.
Exactamente. Exactly. So, yeah. So hopefully that answers your question, dude.
But yes, OX Zeus. I think SANS is worth it. to wrap it all up, I know we talked about labs and wireless cracking. Look, this is my show. We go off on tangents, kind of what the fuck I do. It's a habit, especially because, look, if you're not drinking a beer and watching the show, you're missing out. But I do think SANS is worth it if the company will pay for it or if you have a way to afford it.
Mm-hmm.
On a personal level, I would never pay for anything SANS. My company has to pay for it. And that includes the certification renewals that I got to go through now. So if you see my certs expire, it's because my company ain't paying for it. I'm not going to pay for it out of my own paycheck.
Same with
Plain
me.
and simple.
My
SANS
CISP expired. My Cisco expired. Yeah. So
the only one I'll pay for is my CISP. It's because it's $30 a year.
Yeah.
I'll pay my $30.
Yeah.
And then I'll go on Hack the Box.
membership.
I already paid for that. I'll go on there, do a few challenges, and get my CEUs every year.
Yeah.
But that's a long question, and I know we kind of went off topic, but it was worth it because that was a good conversation. Now, Pat, I know you don't use Linux, so this one's going to be all you, homie. Do you think why do you think there is almost no content about kernel security out there?
Ooh.
So the Linux kernel, or even if we talk Windows kernel, so you're talking your
low level binary
viruses and things like that. Why is there nothing out there about those?
Because people don't know it. I guess because many people don't know. But I don't really know because I'm not really a low level binary kernel hacker. Do reverse engineering, do all that low binary stuff. That's like a John Hammond thing. Maybe that question.
John Hammond will probably know that.
Yeah, he'll probably. So sorry, officer, whatever, 9112, whatever.
I'll give my take on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So it depends on what you're looking for. You're looking for the offensive side. Hold on.
Oh damn.
There it is. If you're looking for the offensive side, that stuff you're going to find on the dark net, and that stuff you're going to buy. You're not going to find that on YouTube because of how it operates. To be able to infect a kernel of any operating system and put a POC out about that or a video out about that, that'll get taken down quick, fast, and in a hurry. Those are things you buy or develop on the dark net or the dark web, whatever you want to call it. From a blue team perspective, there is not enough information out there for people to detect it because if it has already infected the kernel, then no tool is going to detect it. I have yet to find a tool that can detect kernel level malware. You just have to know, which means your shit keeps getting compromised after you've reflashed, rebooted, redone everything, removed everything, have everything on there. You got something at the kernel or the boot sector level. And this goes back to the old days with MBRs and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. If your MBR got infected, your drive was infected for life. You basically had to get a new drive. Yeah. There were ways around that, of course. You could delete the MBR. You can do all this stuff. There's always ways around it.
And maybe
I think 10 back in the day, they just bought a new hard drive and threw it in.
Exactly. And the MBR is the master boot record that resides on, your hard drive, just in case you guys don't know that abbreviation. But that's
your kernel. Stuff. Once that kernel is infected, there's nothing you can do but reinstall the entire operating system.
Exactly. And that's why, like, when hypervisors like VMware, Hyper-V, Zen Server from Citrix, that's when like Carbon Black came out, right? At the hypervisor level to try to detect and remediate any kind of low level hypervisor attacks or whatever you want to call it. But
I got a good comment for this one though. John Good coming through in a clutch because he likes to do that.
Let's see. What did you say?
No need to worry about kernel security when companies can't even get patching and other low-hanging fruit right. And he is absolutely correct. Absolutely. When you can't even patch your system on a monthly basis, there's a fucking problem. Of course. Why worry about the kernel when your OS is unpatched? I've worked at companies where OSs have been unpatched for about 3 years.
Yeah.
It happens. So why worry about the kernel? I get it. All right, so we got that one. Let's see. All right, so we got LinkedIn user. Again, LinkedIn is rough. I can't talk back and forth. If you're not subscribed or connected with me on LinkedIn, your name doesn't really show up, especially if you're not following Cyber Warrior Studios. But beyond that, is GIAC itself start to get what are good foundations? Homie, you don't know what GIAC is, and I am sorry because so many recruiters I have had to argue with this about. But before I go on my rant, because I've got a long rant about this one, Pat, take it away.
I never took a GIAC exam, so I can't really. I don't know anything about GIAC, so I never.
I'm a rant. Do you want me to rant?
Yeah, go for it. Go rant.
GIAC is not a cert. GIAC is a certifying authority that is by SANS. SANS itself is the courses. So you have things like GSEC, GCED, GCIH, GREM, GPEN, GXPEN, GSE, I think it is. Basically, a ton of certs out there from SANS. GIAC is the authority behind it that certifies it, which is why they all begin with G. GIAC, whatever. So GIAC itself is not a certified. It is not a cert. It is a certifying authority. If I'm saying that right, I may be mixed up. SANS teaches the courses. GIAC is where you get your certificate from, or the acronyms come from. But whatever the case may be. So please, I beg of you, do not ever consider a GIAC a certification. GIAC's not a certification. It is an authority. It is the name behind the cert. That's all it is. So I don't know if SANS owns another company and that's how they do it. I don't know. I just know I've had many of the calls with recruiters. They're like, so we're looking for GIAC certified. And I've been like, homie, which one? Seriously, which one? Go ahead and pick one because I got 5. I really, let's go down the list. So yeah, it really depends on what cert you're talking about, dude or girl. I don't know. I see LinkedIn user in a gray box. Looks like a hanger. But I can't tell you if it's tough to get or not because I don't know what it is. But yeah, so that's my little rant on GIAC. I hate when people use that. Cool, thanks. I've seen things and wanted to know more about what it is. Good to know. Yeah, look at SANS. You want your GIAC certs? Look at SANS. Expensive as hell. Wait, I already did that one. OnStar. All right, so should someone be cool to apply for entry-level jobs in the cybersecurity field with a cert like EJPT or PNPT as a SOC analyst or for some other junior roles? Pat, you're going solo, homie. Take it away because this is all you. This is your specialty.
Yeah, so this is a good one. So cybersecurity obviously is huge, right? So if you guys aren't familiar with the EJPT and the PNPT, that's the eLearn Junior Penetration Tester, and the PNPT is the network penetration tester from TCM Security. So I never took either or. So if you want to work as a SOC analyst, so this is like saying I want to go for my law degree, but I want to become a detective, right? So you want to be on the offensive side or the defensive side? If you're going to get your EJPT or PMPT, I would think you want to become more of a pen tester, an offensive security person, a red teamer, etc. So you can definitely get an entry-level position, but remember, this goes back to the labs and setups. And like EJPT, I think you have to do a lab as well, like a physical pen test, and you have to write a pretty little report, especially in V2. And the PMPT, I know that for sure. You have a week to complete it, compromise a domain, and get in front of the TCM security team. And you present and you do your debrief and say, this is how I compromise the domain. And you go through your pen test report. So if you're going to get both of those, I would say you're going to lead more into the offensive side, right? And I don't think you would want to become a SOC analyst with those certs. That's just my take. If you want to become a SOC analyst, that means you're trying to get more into maybe threat hunting, maybe get more into the defensive side of things. But yeah, I think, and if you want to elaborate on that, whoever, yeah, $5. Congrats, Jack. Thanks. Get a BA. But yeah, so hopefully that answers. If you want to become a SOC analyst, do more Security Plus, maybe CYSA Plus from CompTIA, learning more about like Security Onion, understand more about like some of the defensive tools versus the offensive tools. But that's just my take.
So, for one, thank you, Jack. That is all going towards Greater Latrobe Youth Football. Again, every super chat, every donation, everything that you see in the description on all of my channels, all my social media, it's all going towards my son's youth football org until I can afford to buy everything that they need. So, thank you for that. It means a lot. Now, as far as this goes, I'm going to provide an opposite opinion because I think the EJPT and PNPT are vital to Blue Team as well, for the sole purpose of you need to know both to do either one. So if you are going to be a blue teamer, you need to know what logs are going to generate from the offensive security stuff that you learn. The only way to learn that these days is through certifications and training. So unless you're willing to set up a Kali box yourself or ParrotSec and break into shit and then set up Security Onion, you're not going to learn the offensive side. And conversely, from the blue team side, unless you're willing to set all that entire lab up, you're not going to learn, what logs and what alarms and what triggers there are. So I think either way you look at it, you need both. Which is why I think, kind of like Security Blue Team came out with their Blue Team certification and their Blue Team training, you need to be at least foundationally be able to understand the logs generated, the correlation rules, the everything that goes along with both sides. Because me as a red teamer, as a pen tester or anything like that, I want to know what security measures you have in place so that I know what I need to research and how to figure out how to bypass them. CrowdStrike is the bane of my existence. I fucking hate CrowdStrike, but it is possible to bypass. Just like Defender, just like Bitdefender, just like every other EDR, XDR, MDR, anything you put out there, it's possible to bypass. But if you don't know how, if you've never done it before, and you go into an organization blind, you have to know how to find those things and how to bypass those things. As a blue teamer, if you don't know what logs generate because somebody issued an interpreter command or something like that, then you're going to miss things. And your SIM and your XDRs aren't going to be set up properly. Your EDRs aren't going to be set up properly. You need to be able to do these things. So you need to know both sides. EJPT, PNPT, blue or red or purple, whatever you want to consider it, does not matter. Those are vital to any person that is trying to make a name in this industry, regardless of what side. That's the way I see it.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's fair enough. That's definitely, good
I think
stuff.
it's important. I think it's important to have everything.
No,
because
yeah.
if you don't understand both sides, you don't understand anything at all.
Exactly. And especially like some organizations, if they start doing, tabletopping or purple team, that's when you guys collaborate, right? The blue and the red, and you get in the middle. That's, get into the purple stuff, especially if you like having external companies come in and do tabletopping and purple teaming. And, you're on the blue side and then they're trying to whatever. And, really understand those ins and outs of those techniques.
Yeah,
so
definitely
quite critical.
So saying that, we talk a lot about the lab environment and being able to make your way that way. What would you say which by the way, thank you, Jack, for the $5. Appreciate it very much. That's all in super chats down below. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, there's subscribers. If you're on Facebook, I think there's stars. Otherwise, in the description of everything is Cash App, PayPal, merchandise, and all that other fun jazz. Anywho, if you're looking at different ways, and we talk about breaking into cybersecurity, you as a director, when you look at somebody's resume, or you look at, even if somebody below you is the one looking at the resume, what do you recommend they look for first? Is it the degree? Is it the certification? Or is it the experience of like, hey, have they done labs? Have they done like actually put in the work to do things? Or do you tell them to Google, DuckDuckGo, whatever, look them up first and see what they have out there in terms of learning in public?
That's a good question. So I think the best thing to do is have your own little CTF or, little challenge, right? So they can't Google, right? You're not going to say, okay, let's go do this hack the box, and you can just do a walkthrough the whole time and say, I got my flags, and here you go. We have our own little capture the flag type challenge, and we'll give you a domain name and IP address, and we'll set it up for whatever 3 hours or whatever the case may be, and say, okay, go to town and see what tell me what you get,
Right.
tell me what you find. Because we can do CTFs. We want to see the methodology and how you think and everything like that, more than just a little capture the flag. Like
Right.
Google, like you said, don't be scared to Google. Like I had to work on something like a friend of mine.
DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, DuckDuckGo, all that good stuff. So a friend of mine, I'm not going to convey that person's name. That person was like, asked me to find information on someone, right? But that person didn't have any information on them. No phone number, no name, no occupation, no nothing. And I was like, do you have a picture of that person? And that's all I needed. And I found out where they lived, their phone number, so much other stuff.
You sound like one of my friends. They are so good at that.
Yeah. And the person was an attorney, right? The person that we found, and like whatever, like we just found the boom, 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 like the whole shebang for that person. And just from a picture, right?
Yep.
So it's just like, where was I going with? Oh yeah, like the whole like lab setup, like what we do. And like once you submit or once we have our second interview or whatever, you say, okay, like, so what have you found on XYZ? And we can talk about internal assessments, external assessments, OSINT and all that stuff that we can go through. And, we can put you on it inside of a network and say like the EJPT type thing or the junior penetration tester from TCM Security. It's more of an internal assessment and compromise your DC with, compromising the hashes, do past the hash and Bloodhound and Sharphound and all this other stuff.
I still suck at Bloodhound. Not even gonna lie. Still suck at it. Still horrible.
Me too. I'm good. I'm decent at it, but sometimes like I was talking to my friend John the other night. I'm like, dude, like sometimes I'll forget. Oh shit, I need to run Sharphound first to dump the file, the zip file, and then ingest that into. And then sometimes I'll forget to start the
Even
database.
then I look at it and I'm like, Neo4j, here's Bloodhound,
Yeah.
da. And I'm like, all right, so what query do I need to use to figure out? All right, so I figured out how I can get domain admin. But how do I get domain admin? And it's like, oh, you got to go this way, this way, this way, and this way. And I'm like, all right, I recognize like two of those terms. What's the rest? Like, I'm lost.
Yeah. and don't be discouraged. Like if D's saying he's lost, or if I'm saying I'm lost, or something. Like I have a friend that's hacked the shit out of your website, API calls. He's a killer in that. But you put him on the inside of a network, he won't get to your DA, even if you gave him your DA credentials, right? Yep. So everyone has their specialty. Everyone has their niche. Everyone has their, in pen testing, it's such a broad thing. So, as someone with ADHD, okay, I have ADHD.
Dude, everybody has ADHD. Everybody in this field. I was actually just talking to one of the kids that plays football with my son. I was talking to his dad, and he was talking about his one son that has like ADHD, OCD, and he's on the spectrum. And I was like, yo, get him into cybersecurity. Yeah. I was like, because I think all of us have at least two of the three. At least two of the three. The two vary. It could be on the spectrum and OCD. It could be ADHD and OCD. It could be ADHD and on the spectrum. Either way, we all got at least two of the three. It'll be okay.
That's why they call it the alphabet soup. So
right. But so anyways, look, I know we're past the top of the hour. Pat, it's always amazing talking to you. Everybody in chat, again, if you're on Twitch, I do have subscriptions. I can't tell you the last time I got any money from anything on Twitch, but actually never. I've never gotten anything from Twitch, but that's beside the point. You can check out cyberwarriorstudios.com, cyberwarriorstudios.bio.link, all these things if you're on Twitch to support my son's football organization, because everything you send to me is going to them. But before I go on, Pat, any advice you have for anybody trying to break into the industry in terms of education? And we covered a lot, but what would you say? Certifications, degrees, labs, every other internships, everything else out there. What would you give to anybody trying to break in?
So in the order, I would say experience, because you can't get the cert without the experience. So I would say experience, number one, like lab it up and get the fundamentals and the hands-on training, and then get into different certifications like the EJPT or PMPT, OSCP. I try to shy away from the OSCP because I think it's a little expensive for what it is. Heath Adams,
It
man,
used to not
kudos.
be.
Yeah, exactly. But like Heath did a great job with the PMPT. Like I've done their training, and he's just an amazing person, as well. So I love the guy and go support him as well. But yeah, so I think getting the experience and getting the cert, and then with those two, you can get, hopefully, knock on wood, you land a gig with that, experience and certification under your belt.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I have the OSCP. When it first came out, it had a lot of value. Because not just because of the price was a little less expensive, but it required you to have the knowledge beforehand. So they taught you some more advanced things, and you had to have a better understanding of security and of hacking and of things of that nature. And then talking to people that actually run the labs and run all the stuff behind the scenes, they were like, hey, we actually had to change things because we noticed more entry level people that know little to nothing are trying to break in. So they changed. Not only did they change their certification, change the labs, and change a lot of things to meet these entry level people, they upped the price. So it was counterintuitive. Because if they're entry level, they probably don't have a job that is paying them well enough for a $1,500 course and exam. I'll be honest. Any of my jobs prior to getting my OSCP, and I didn't get any jobs because of my OSCP, they were all because of my network, but that's besides the point. I got it because I wanted it. Would never have paid for the OSCP. It was never in their repertoire of, oh yeah, I'll pay for that for you. So this is not an entry level cert. Never should have been.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there. They're trying to make it entry level. They're trying to do things, but then they're raising the price. So if they're going to do that, you might as well go through SANS, get your company to pay for a G Pen, then go to GX Pen and things of that nature. If a company's going to pay for it, go to SANS. You can do in person. The instructors have to be doing the job. Like this has to be part of what they do. I don't know what else to tell you. Go to SANS before OSCP these days. It just isn't worth it from a personal standpoint.
Yeah. And I took mine in when did I get mine? I think I did it in 2018, 2019. So, same, and then even when I did, it was very CTF-y. I don't know if you had a lot of buffer overflows, like, all this other shit. But now it's like, obviously with Active Directory, now there's a couple of boxes with AD compromising that. Everything is going that route. But yeah, I can't say anything about the SANS, but definitely
SANS is awesome. I stand by the SANS instructors. SANS is actually, I got an email from SANS because I was supposed to be a mentor years ago when I was an advisor for SBT. And I'll put this out there. So I said, I had told whenever I was on the advisory board for SBT, yeah, I'm going to be a SANS mentor, They discontinued their mentorship program. I never actually got to go through the hot seat to become a mentor, but it ended up on their website. So this year, actually today, I read my email, got an email from SANS like, hey, we discontinued mentorship and you never actually mentored a class. And I was like, I mean, you're not wrong. Let me talk to Joshua Beeman real quick from SBT. Hey, why is this on there? And can you remove it, please? And again, it was nothing against any party. It was just they are very particular. You have to have done things. I am proud to have 5 SANS certifications. Extremely proud. I earned those. I may not use them on a regular basis, but I earn them. And there's like a lot of hard work. you get out of certifications what you put into them, just like your labs, just like your degree. No matter what it is in education, you get out of it what you put into it. Now, saying that goes for your labs and everything else. It has been an amazing episode. I love you all. Again, every penny, every dime, every dollar, everything you donate to Cyber Warrior Studios is going to Greater Latrobe Youth Football. Yes, I will put that out there. So please feel free to donate, support. I need to get jerseys. I need to get a camera. I need so much stuff that I'm trying to provide for the organization. We're going to do fundraising, all that other fun jazz. But I love y'all. I hope y'all love me. Every $5, every $10, every $100, whatever it is, it all goes towards them. I am not taking a single red cent. I am legitimately donating it all. So please, if you can help out, I appreciate it. Otherwise, I love you all. It's been an amazing episode. Pat, as always, it's always a pleasure having you on here because you're an amazing person. I love what you do. Keep up the content. Keep building. Keep growing. And hopefully you can just work on content creation for a living because we all want to get there one day. But otherwise, hey, everybody, all my warriors out there, y'all take care. I love you all. And I'll see you all next week with another amazing episode of Security Happy Hour.